Hey guys, welcome to week 4 of Mastery Mobility. This week we're going to focus on the spine, and with the spine comes a lot of other things with breathing and the way our trunk moves in general. So this week I wanted to tackle breathing a little bit, as you can see from my beautiful diagram here, okay? So this video is going to end up being your homework for this week, the spine week, on top of the 2 classes that you're already doing. We're going to talk about the breathing, and then I'm going to give you some breathing exercises that I want you to do on your own. Okay, so just to talk about breathing in general first. This is our body. Okay, here you have my lovely rib cage and the lungs underneath that rib cage. Then right below that we have our diaphragm. Okay, and then down here we have our pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is something that's super important to talk about when we breathe, because that is when we get the most contraction and relaxation out of the pelvic floor is during breathing. So it's important that when we're talking about breathing as a whole, we mention the pelvic floor because it has a huge important piece in breathing. Okay, so what happens when you take air in? So let's just do, this is your kind of trachea coming down into your lungs. Okay, so when we take a deep breath in from that trachea, it comes down, goes into our lungs, and as our lungs fill with air, what happens is we end up contracting our diaphragm. So here, in this rounded up position, our diaphragm is relaxed. When we take in air, the vacuum creates the pelvic floor, or the diaphragm dropping down into a flat position where the muscle fibers in the diaphragm are contracted, okay? So we take air in, air fills the lungs. That air filling the lungs creates a vacuum that puts our diaphragm down, making it flat, okay? Which is the contraction of the diaphragm muscles. When our diaphragm is flat, all of the intestines and things that are in here need space to go. So that's why we expand our stomach out, okay? So when you breathe, you should feel your stomach push out into your hand. That's because as that diaphragm contracts down and flattens out, all of our intestines and organs and things need space, so our stomach comes out, okay? As that also happens, our pelvic floor drops down into a rounded down position. This is our pelvic floor relaxing, okay? So as we take a deep breath in, our pelvic floor relaxes, our diaphragm contracts, the walls of our abdomen spread out, okay? And what this means for the spine is that you'll feel that global spreading out into the spine also, okay? Now, as we exhale, the walls of our sides come in, our pelvic floor comes up and gets into a contracted position. So as we exhale, our pelvic floor comes up and contracts. So that's when, if you're gonna practice a Kegel exercise, you wanna practice it as activating that Kegel on the exhale, okay? Then our diaphragm gets pulled back up into its relaxed position, and all of the air comes out of our lungs, okay? So what we wanna avoid with breathing is using all of these muscles up here. So we have our upper traps, our scalenes, some of our intercostal muscles in here, and while those do sometimes work during breathing, especially hard exacerbating breathing when we're doing a hard workout, we don't want them to work when we're breathing every day. So our normal everyday breathing should be coming from the motion of our diaphragm, the motion of our rib cage coming up and out, and the motion of our abdomen expanding out. And then as we contract, those rib cages come down to push the air out, the diaphragm relaxes up to push the air out, the pelvic floor comes up to contract, and the sides of the wall of our trunk come in, okay? So, quick breathing anatomy. Next, we're gonna talk about how you measure, or how you differentiate between vertical breathing and horizontal breathing. And then we're gonna talk about how I want you guys to measure your breathing range of motion. All right, we'll do that. And then lastly, we're gonna finish up with some breathing exercises. So hopefully you guys will be able to see everything on this board next to me pretty well. But before we get to that, what we're going to do is figure out, I'm gonna do it on myself so you get to see how I do with all this breathing stuff. first, before you get to try it on yourself, so you'll see my real-time numbers as we go through all of this on here, okay? So, first thing that we want to do to assess our breathing is determine if we are a vertical breather or a horizontal breather, okay? So, what I want you to do is just standing, you're going to relax, inhale in, exhale out, okay? So what I want you to feel, then we're going to put our hands on our hips, inhale in, exhale out. Hand on that rib cage. Okay, so what I'm going to tell you is that I am a hybrid breather. So if you look down here, this is our location of movement. Ignore this, we'll get to this. But our location of movement, we're either going to be a vertical breather, a hybrid breather, or a horizontal breather. So a vertical breather is going to breathe vertically. So I'm going to move up in order to expand to get more room to breathe. A horizontal breather is going to breathe horizontally. So you can see it's even hard for me to just get horizontal breathing. That was a little better. Okay, a hybrid breather, which is what you're going to see me doing, is so I do push out a little bit into my rib cage, but I also get a lot of motion here, okay? So my breathing, I do get a little bit of a push out, but I also get a little bit of that shoulder shrug, which makes me a hybrid breather. Okay, so film yourself, watch yourself in a mirror, try to figure out what kind of breather you are. Are you a horizontal, so does all of your breathing come from in here? Or are you a vertical, does all of your breathing come from in here? Or are you a hybrid? You get a little bit of that rib expansion laterally, but a lot of your breathing comes from up in here, okay? So I would say I personally am more of a hybrid vertical breather than a hybrid horizontal breather. I'm more kind of pushed, if we're on like a spectrum like this, like on a chart, I'm more in here than I am down here, okay? Now, I'm not telling you you can read what's good, bad, and indifferent with breathing, okay? But I just want you to just kind of do that separately and think about it yourself, what kind of breather you are. Then I want you to take measuring tape, okay? So I'm gonna roll my shit up here for you guys. What you're gonna do is find the protruding of your front rib, okay? So it's gonna be like right in here, okay? You want that top rib not down here where your bottom rib is, okay? So we're wrapping around to the front of our stomach and where you can feel that last rib there protrude, okay? Should be, for ladies, right under that bra line, okay? So what I'm going to do is take my measuring tape, tightly wrap it around, firmly wrap it around, okay, at that line. Okay, so I'm here, I've wrapped around. This is where I'm at resting, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a deep inhale. I'm gonna measure where I'm at. So for me, that was about 43. Now that I lost my deep inhale, but I was at about 43. So I'm gonna take that deep inhale again. Let me get this situated. Okay, so relaxing. We are here, deep inhale. Here, 43. Forceful exhale, 40, okay? So I went from 43 to 40. So I measured my deep inhale and then my forceful exhale, okay? So, remember that measuring tape. Now what I'm gonna do, on my inhale, I was 43. On my exhale, I was 40. So when I subtract that number, I get 3. 3 divided by my exhale, which is 40, which I need a calculator for. Maybe not. Let me just do some long division over here, guys. Okay, I did math and I'm back. All of you out there are probably like, Steph, come on. How did you not get that math? It's so easy. Sorry. It's in the afternoon. Okay, So anyway, I divided 3 by 40. I got 0.075. 0.075 times 1,000 is 75. So my percent range of motion is 75%. Okay? So now I'm going to take my 75%. I'm going to come down to my little chart down here. Okay? So you guys should be able to see that. So down here I have range of motion. Up here I have location of motion. So I'm a hybrid. I'm on the upper end of hybrid. Okay? My range of motion is 75. So somewhere in here. So I'm right about there. Which means that I got a D for breathing. Even your therapists aren't excellent, okay? So I got a D for breathing. I didn't get an F, thankfully, almost an F. But I got a D for breathing. Now, what does that mean going forward? And that's what we're gonna talk about next, is the exercises I want you guys to do to practice that breathing to help me or you get from this D, or maybe you're a C or a B, to an A, okay? So an A would be that we're breathing horizontally, which means we're expanding out through our stomach, our chest, and everything most expansively, and not adding a lot of accessory breathing. Accessory breathing is bad for a ton of reasons. If you wanna know, you can ask me, and I can give you a whole host of reasons why accessory breathing is bad for you, okay? So horizontal breathing is the best, and a range of motion of somewhere between 100 and 120 range of motion is ideal. Okay, so what that would mean if like you're looking for, ideal expansion depending on your size, being bigger, your expansion difference up here between your inhale and your exhale, the better, okay? That's where you're gonna get the better score, better grade, and all of this. I am also going to attach a PDF page with all of this beautiful information in there for you so that you can have this written out nicely for you while you do this homework. I can't talk to you guys. It is Friday. Okay, so anyway, next we're gonna do breathing exercise. Now that you have figured out what your breathing score is, okay, and you have also figured out what your range of motion of breathing is and the way you breathe, whether you're a vertical breather or a horizontal breather, we're gonna come down on the floor, and these are gonna be the exercises that I want you to work on for this week, okay? So, if your score on breathing, okay, was a F, D, or C, you're gonna work on these first two exercises. If your breathing score was like a borderline CB, B, or A, then you're gonna work on the following breathing exercises. So these first two are gonna be for my F, D, C, low Cs, okay? The following two are gonna be for my high Cs, Bs, and As, okay? So, what we're gonna do is come down onto our backs. Just gonna position myself so you can see me. I'm going to get my hands resting here, right on that bottom rib. Okay, and what I want you to work on is 5-second inhale. On that exhale, we're gonna forcefully exhale, pushing down into that rib cage. Inhale. Feel that rib cage pushing hands away. Exhale. Pushing that rib cage down. Inhale. Opening out into that rib cage. Exhale. Breathing away, okay? So we're not focused too much on time frame on this first exercise, okay? We're just really focusing on getting that rib to expand and that rib to close as much as we can. So we're working on getting that horizontal pattern, okay, that us vertical breathers don't like to do. The reason I have you do this on your back is so that you can kind of relax those shoulder blades as much as you're working them with your ribs. I don't want you here, okay? You're not feeling your rib cage expand at all if this is where you're going, okay? So, let me reset. Okay, hands here, inhale. Inhale. feeling my ribs come out into my hands. Okay, the other thing I want you to try not to do is clench your glutes. So as we're doing this breathing exercise, I want you to refrain as much as you can from feeling it down here, okay? We're relaxed down here. The only thing that you should be envisioning moving down here is maybe your pelvic floor, and when you inhale, thinking about relaxing it down, okay? I don't want you to think about contracting your pelvic floor. I don't want you to think about having a Kegel action in this. This is purely to get that rib cage to learn how to move horizontally, okay? So my next exercise for all of my FD and low C breathers, okay? We're gonna come just sit comfortably in child's pose. And we are going to, or not child's pose, cross-legged. Kids sit like this, I don't know. We're gonna just think about breathing, and we are going to time our breathing. Okay, so you're gonna inhale. I want you to make this inhale last anywhere from 3 to 7 seconds, okay? So real slow, drawn out. If you have a hard time getting to 7 seconds, don't do 7 seconds. Inhale for 3, okay? What we are going to focus on and hitting this exact time is our exhale for 15 seconds. So we're gonna inhale, exhale for 15. Good. We're gonna do that 4 times. Okay, so inhale for however long, exhale for 15, rest and breathe normal for 1 minute, and then we're gonna do a second round. Okay, that is it. All right, we're doing 4 reps, 2 sets. The ones on the floor where you're breathing in and out, that one I want you to give me like a good 5 to 10 breaths, rest for about a minute, then another good 5 to 10 breaths. And you can do that one 1 to 2 times a day. This one we're doing once a day, okay? And we are doing it for inhale for 3 to 7 seconds, okay? Exhale for that 15. Hit that 15. If you feel like you can't breathe out anymore, I want you to be thinking about, so I inhaled, I'm still trying to push air out of my lips, even though I feel like I have no more air to give, okay? So that's what we're gonna do for my D's, F's, and low C's, okay? Now, my high C's, B's, and A's, we're gonna do this same position, same exercise, again, 4 breaths, 2 sets, 1 minute rest between them. You are gonna exhale for 25 seconds, okay? So that's gonna be the big difference. My low guys, 15 seconds. My high guys, 25 seconds. All right, so inhale. For 25 seconds, okay? And I want you to hear that audible, okay? So the next thing that my high guys are gonna do is going to be very challenging, okay? So I want you to practice it and see how you do with it, okay? If you can't do this, I want you to kind of evaluate whether or not you're a vertical breather, because if you are having a really hard time with that 25-second mark, if you're having a hard time with a 15-second mark, and you're having a hard time with this breathing that we're gonna do next, I want you to reevaluate whether or not your score was accurate for you, okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come up into a side plank. In this side plank, okay? So you're gonna do it on both sides, and you're gonna do that exhale for 15 seconds in a side plank. Okay, this is gonna be shorter too. So you're only gonna do 1 rep, come down, other side, 1 rep, come down, other side, 1 rep. I do want you to do both sides, okay? Because you're gonna be opening up a different side of the rib cage depending on what side you're side planking, okay? So you're gonna be up in that side plank, same 3 to 7 seconds inhale, exhale for that 15-second hold, okay? This is for my A, B's, and high C's only, okay? If you were an F, D, or low C, we're gonna stick to the bellows breaths where we're just sitting like this, and we're gonna lay on that back and work on that rib expansion, okay? So I don't wanna overload you guys with too many breathing exercises because it's really important to get the form down first. So work on those two. So each group has two they're gonna work on, and yeah, that is your homework for this week. Calculate your LOM and your ROM, determine your grade, and then practice these breathing exercises every day, okay? Because I know someone's gonna ask me that question every day on these breathing exercises, guys. Okay, so you can add it to your morning routine, you can add it after your mobility, you can add it before or after your workout, you can add it before you go to sleep at night, okay? But add in these breathing exercises.